Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watch. Hopefully, one has had a fantastic Sunday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your week. Yes, the week forecast because it is Sunday evening. So we're going to talk about obviously the forecast for Sunday, July the 20th, going all the way into Saturday, July the 26th. The last full week of July. Yes, the last full week of July. And we're going to go on and talk about it. Obviously, all of that this tonight. What else are we going to talk about? We're also going to be talking about obviously the regular forecast for tonight, like always. We're also going to be talking about scattered to widespread storms likely for Monday and Tuesday, with the potential for some isolated severe weather and some localized flooding, especially on Tuesday. And then also we'll talk about our brief cool down that we kind of touched on yesterday, the dangerous heat that's going on still, and then pretty much that's all we're going to really talk about for tonight. But before we get into that, if you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go on and do so. Hit the share button as well. Share it with all the people that you know. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. We're at 540. We are 10 away from the halfway goal of 600, and we are obviously 60 away from that goal of 600. So that's the main goal right there. So let's go on and get there. First, or second, I should say, before we get into the actual forecast, let's go on and talk with the recorded audience for the people who can unfortunately not make it to the live stream tonight. Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Sunday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson. Let's go on and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your future. Now, looking at the radar right now, we do have some rainfall going on. Rainfall going on like over here near like Whitmer, South Carolina, going on over here near Walhalla, South Carolina right now. You know, a couple of other spots are receiving some isolated showers, but it's not a whole bunch. It's not a whole lot at all. If we go into our look at the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on in eastern Kentucky, as well as Indiana and Illinois, Ohio, West Virginia, Western Virginia, as well as North Carolina getting some rainfall. Alabama's getting some rainfall, as well as going into like Connecticut and Rhode Island. We do have a damage report out here in Massachusetts, as trees are down over there near Plymouth, Massachusetts, or in Plymouth County. Also, you do have some severe weather going on over here inside of Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. We're getting 70-mile-per-hour winds up there, and 2.7, which is baseball-sized hail going on in South Dakota right now. Also, in the Four Corners region, getting in some rainfall as well. But other than that, that's pretty much it in terms of what's going on throughout the U.S. Going into cloud cover, we do have some heavy cloud cover right now, especially in that upstate of South Carolina. Also, if you look in western South Carolina, we do have some cloud cover over there as well. If we go into what's going on just for the future, you can see as we go on and push this forward, that cloud cover continuing to stay relatively strong over like the upstate going into the Midlands as well. That will continue its way through. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, this is 7 a.m. right here, cloud cover going on along those coastal regions, going on in the southern Midlands as well. And even as we get into like tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, cloud cover will still be going on southern Midlands, PD, low country of South Carolina as well. If we go into our current temperatures right now, 88 inside of Columbia, as well as 86 in Orangeburg, 84 in Somerville, as well as 85 in Charleston, 85 in Georgetown, as well as 84 in Myrtle Beach, in North Myrtle Beach, 85 in Lawrence, as well as 83 in Greenville, 82 in Conway, and 82 in Spartanburg, 84 in Gaffney, York, and 85 in Rock Hill. Low temperatures for tonight, 74 in Greenville, as well as 75 in Lawrence, 76 in Spartanburg, as well as 76 in Rock Hill, 78 in Columbia, as well as 78 in Orangeburg, 77 inside of Orangeburg, I already said that, 77 in Walterboro, and 78 in Moncks Corner, 81 in Charleston, as well as 78 in Georgetown. We also do have around 81 over there near Myrtle Beach, and it's 81 over there near Hilton Head Island. If we go on now and move to our next area, that is obviously our rainfall. Good amount of rainfall. This is the rainfall that we could potentially see as we move through tonight, going into tomorrow night. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch for some places, like going into Greenville, going into Rock Hill, Girard, Florence, Dillon, Camden, Orangeburg, Kingstree is included. Barnwell's included, Aikens included as well. and then that tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch for like Georgetown going into Walterboro. This is just potentially what we could see. It could potentially be around these totals, what you can see. And obviously, there's some other regions as well that's not accounted for, but those are just the main regions that you can see on top of those regions that has that chance for that precipitation. Going into the SPC outlook, we do actually have a chance for thunderstorms tonight. If I go on real quick, let's see if I can go on and check this out real quick. I'm going to go to the SPC outlook. They have not updated it yet. So far we still have this thunderstorm risk right here. If we go on to tomorrow, we do have a marginal risk of severe weather. Again, that goes for the entire state of South Carolina. Everyone will have a chance for some severe weather tomorrow. And what's the deal with it? What's going on with it? Obviously, it will be those damaging winds, damaging wind gusts, or I should say some isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour is possible with some storms as we move our way through. So yes, everyone will have their shot for some isolated severe storms, gusts of up to 60 miles per hour tomorrow. And, just in terms of what's going to happen in terms of any sort of like heavy rainfall, obviously that's possible. No hail threat, no tornado threat, mainly just a damaging wind threat. And we're not done either, because on Tuesday, the western low country, that's like over there near Hilton Head Island, going over towards Beaufort as well, Jasper County as well is included in there. Those regions have another marginal risk of severe weather, again, most likely for those damaging winds or isolated damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. Excessive rainfall, this is for tonight going into tomorrow morning, like 9 a.m. You can see that we actually do have a slight risk of some excessive rainfall over here. That's over here for like Greenville going into Anderson, Clemson, Central South Carolina, Walhalla, Pickens. And if you're in the green's like Spartanburg going into Lawrence, Woodruff's included in there, Fountain Inn's included in there. All those regions have a chance for some minor flooding as we go through tonight and tomorrow. But we'll look at the models and we'll see if the models agree with this or not. Tomorrow, this goes all the way from Monday 9 a.m. to Tuesday at 9 a.m. We do have some more minor flooding or some isolated flash flooding that's possible again for the entire state of South Carolina, and pretty much the same thing for Tuesday going into Wednesday as well. Then once we get to Thursday, Friday, you're not really seeing too much, or Wednesday and Thursday. Those 2 days right there, you're not seeing any sort of excessive rainfall for now. So that's it in terms of excessive rainfall. Let's go on now and talk about our model. So we're going to look here. Time is in the top right corner of your screen. Please make sure that you go on and look at that as we go on and push this forward. Starting off at 9 p.m., you can see this is what was expected to happen, or what was projected to happen at 9 p.m. Actually, it's a little bit different, but if we go on and push this forward, there will still be shower activity going on by the time we get to around 12 o'clock in the morning. And once we continue this forward even more to 3 a.m., 4 a.m., that's finally when all those shower activity will move off the coast. And will be relatively dry going into maybe around like 6, 7 a.m. You can see down there, there's like a little shower that pops up down there, like right on the South Carolina-Georgia border near Savannah. But for the most part, it's very minor. By the time we get to noon, again, still nothing going on, but then once we get to around 1 to 2 p.m., that's when we can start to see some more shower activity potentially start to pop off, especially in like the upstate of South Carolina as well, and that's where it will start at. As if we continue on, here's 2 p.m. right here. You can see a lot more activity starting to form up there in the upstate, and these storms will all have that minor chance for some severe weather with those isolated damaging wind gusts with it. By the time you get to around 4 or 5 p.m., a lot near the coastal regions as well. You see low country, you can see in the Tri-County region inside of the Grand Strand and the PD. And then once you get to those coastal regions, around 6, 7 p.m., it will get through. Even by 8 p.m., we will still have storms going on. Then once we get to around 10 to 11 p.m. to 12 a.m., still will be some showers and downpours left over, and there also will be a little bit of a low pressure there as well that actually will be over the state by the time we get into, again, like July 22nd-ish. And then, just some more unsettled activity, more shower activity, but that time around like 10 to 11 a.m. on July 22nd. And it shows a lot more scattered to widespread activity in terms of shower activity by the time we get to around July 22nd. So for right now, it's looking like, if I can just gather it all up into one summary, pretty much from what I'm seeing, low pressure forms over the state pretty much, brings us some unsettled weather, thunderstorms, severe weather, excessive rainfall with these slow moving storms that move through. And for right now, we just need to be watching for, obviously, that localized flash flooding and then those isolated severe storms. Going into our long-term futures, this goes all the way to like the 48-hour mark. You can see here, we're starting to see like a lot of activity by the time we get to around like the 23rd, those coastal regions, and then they'll move their way inland by the time we get to around like the 24th. And then by the time we get to around the 25th, it will kind of just traverse its way. You can see it starts over here 8 a.m. 23rd, and it just continues to push its way through by the time you get to around the 24th at 2 p.m. And then once you get to around 2 a.m. on July 25th, that time frame right there, you're starting to see, again, just some more shower, thunderstorm activity, just the normal stuff that we've normally been seeing, even by the time we get to around like the 28th, 29th, just that regular activity. But then we can see a big plume of moisture by the time we get to around like July 30th. That might potentially cause some flash flooding concerns, but we'll talk more about that once we get closer to it. We're still around 10 days out from that. And maybe once we even get into August, it could potentially, again, start to look a little bit more on the like more active side. But once we get to around like August the 2nd, you really can't go any further than that, just because that's over 300 hours. So, I mean, you can look at it. I mean, it just looks to seem like it's just going to be some regular activity, but some recurring rainfall in some spots, as well as it moves its way kind of to the west. But for the most part, that's pretty much all we can say, because honestly, that will change over and over again. So I really shouldn't have even said nothing really too much about it, but that's just what's happening with the models right now. Now for the tropics, you can see here that we do have an area of interest that we're watching for right here. You can see it right here at the bottom right corner. Look at the discussion. This has turned into the INVEST. This is now INVEST 94L. A small area of low pressure has developed from a tropical wave in the central tropical Atlantic, about 900 miles east-southeast of the Lesser Antilles. Shower and thunderstorm activity has recently become more concentrated near the center, and environmental conditions are generally favorable for some additional development. Over the next day or so, while the system moves west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour, by the middle of this week, environmental conditions are forecast to become unfavorable for further development. So that right now has a 20% chance of forming into a tropical depression. Again, that is a 20% over the next 48 hours and a 20% over the next 7 days. And so the key words I want to see is that it does say that additional development is possible as we move through the next day or so, Monday and Tuesday. But once we get to that midweek time frame, Wednesday, Thursday, that's when it's going to start to become unfavorable for it to form. So I've been saying it before, if it does not get its act together quickly, it's not going to really be much of an issue in terms of, a tropical depression or a tropical storm. For now, I mean, you can even go on and look at the model right now. This is it starting off at 7 a.m. I'm actually going to scroll down so you can't see the time frame, but I'll go along and tell you what time frame it's looking like. But just as you push this forward, you can see there it is right here, down here at the bottom right corner of your screen. Or actually, that's it right there. Okay, so right here you can see it, and you see a low pressure forms. But this model right here, I mean, it has it going like to the west, and it doesn't really have it doing too much right now. You can go to the other model as well, like the Euro, for example, and this one pretty much the same thing. It's gonna kind of go on and then kind of just dissipate a little bit and not do anything at all. So right now, models are saying that it's really not gonna do much, and I've seen some people out there saying that they think that it could potentially do something, which it can. It can. It has a 20%. 20% is not zero, so it can have that chance. But for now, it's looking kind of unfavorable for now. Let's go on and talk about the crazy score, and then we're going to talk about our week forecast. Yes, because it is, like I said at the beginning, it's Sunday, so we're going to talk about this week's forecast. But first, let's go on and talk about the crazy score. Starting off, we have a 42 for tonight. We are inside of the moderate category. with obviously that moderate rain, wind, and minor storms. The reason why it has this in there is because leftover showers will be quickly fading, and patchy fog is possible in the valleys and low-lying areas across late tonight. It's going to be mostly clear, and then also very warm and muggy. Just that muggy night that we've been receiving in South Carolina for like the past couple of days, if not weeks at this point. Quiet, but pretty much uncomfortable. No major weather concerns, but just patchy fog and then some oppressive humidity. So that's it in terms of the crazy school. Let's go on and talk about this week. So we're going to go on to this right here. So we're going to start off, obviously, this week, going all the way through. And you can see here that for this week, it will be above average. It will be above average in terms of temperatures for this week. And so if you go on and look at the temperature anomalies, you can see here that as we go on and push this forward, it's going to, which I need to go back a little bit. You can see that it's going to start off warm. But remember what we talked about last night, where we said how it was going to cool off. Actually, once we get into around the midweek time frame, you can see here July 23rd at 2 p.m. It's going to be cooler than average. Now, what's the exact temperature is going to be? Probably in like the 80s, but the 80s is better than the mid 90s, the high 90s. So that is for sure a cool down. I mean, some of these places potentially 7-10 degrees below average, and that's in that 90 range. So that is for sure cool. That is for sure cooler than what we have been seeing. But unfortunately, it's not going to last long, because by the time we get to around like the 26th, the 27th, that warm air will take right back over, and then that pretty much brings us through the rest of the week. So it's going to stay, obviously, very hot by the time we get from now until like Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even parts of Friday. Could potentially be a little bit cooler, but once we get to that weekend, especially that Saturday time frame, it's definitely going to get a lot warmer quickly. Even by probably around Friday, if I was to take a guess, if I'm just looking at the models here. But that's it in terms of the temperatures. Let's go on and look at the precipitation now. We actually will be above average, and I don't think that's really a surprise. I mean, with 2 days to where we have minor flooding or some isolated flash flooding possible, definitely, and with all the moisture that we're seeing as well, that can definitely start to spark that potential for some above average precipitation. So in terms of the warmer than average temperatures, a little bit of a cool down, but then we have higher than average precipitation. That kind of equals it out a little bit, especially for our drought. If you don't remember what our drought looked like, here's what it looked like right here, where we had areas of abnormally dry regions, but that was up there in like northern South Carolina, going all the way down there into like Edgefield County, McCormick County as well. So that's pretty much what we're looking at for now, and we'll see if the amount of rainfall can sustain the heat or take down the heat. We don't know. Will the heat take down the precipitation? We just are going to wait until Thursday to see what they have to say there. Now, this is the official forecast from the Weather Prediction Center on how much rainfall we will receive over the next 7 days for this week. Pretty much close to. And you can see for now that it does have pretty much a good amount of rainfall, especially near in the low country of South Carolina. That's 1 to 2, maybe even 3 inches of rainfall over here inside of this area. And then as you go on all the way, this goes all the way from like southern Aiken County, going all the way through Berkeley, Dorchester, going through Williamsburg and Georgetown as well. Forgot the name, but Georgetown, that brings around a good, again, like 1-2 inches of rainfall through like the next 7 days. And then up here you can see like Columbia, 4/10 of an inch, 1/2 inch at Florence and Sumter, 4/10 for Greenville, 2/10 for Anderson. That would not be a whole bunch at all. But for right now, it's above average in terms of what we would be seeing this week in like past years. So if this is correct, obviously 7 days, that's a huge time frame. These will fluctuate and these will change. So this is not going to be exact, especially once you get through, again, that 168-hour span. But this is all that we have for now. And so that's it for our forecast for the week. So that was a lot to take in. Hopefully, it was a good explanation. And if you have any questions, you obviously can leave it inside the chat right now, which is exactly where we're about to go. We're we're about to go and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. I do not have the regular studio open, but I can still pull it up on what you guys can see. Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone from Monk's Corner. Good evening to you. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button to the channel. Please make sure that you want to do so if you have not already. Last time I checked, we have 540 subscribers. We're at 540. We have 10 more until we get to 550, which is the kind of like the short-term goal, the halfway point, and then we are 60 away from that 600 milestone. He also says, hope your day was good, JP, and cool. It was good. Definitely not cool, but it was good. Drill says, hi, just how was your day? My day was great. Thank you for asking. My name says, hello, Jay. Hello to you. And then my cousin Cheryl says, good evening, weatherman. I hope your Sunday was wonderful. And to everyone else, keep up the good work. Love you all. Be blessed and have a wonderful week. Cheryl, thank you so much for that message. Hopefully you have a wonderful week as well. My aunt Shirley says, good Sunday evening to all. Wishing all a great week. Same to you as well. And that's it. So hopefully that answers all of the questions for now, or all of the chats for now. You still can leave a chat. I will check back in at the end to see if we have any more chats or any more messages or anything like that. So you still can send them in. But before we get back to the chat, let's go on and talk about our 3 locations outside of South Carolina, that being San Antonio, Raleigh, and Philadelphia. And also Duncan, Oklahoma. I gotta get that inside my mind, program it to where I say 4 instead of 3. But 4 locations outside, that being San Antonio, Raleigh, Philadelphia, and Duncan as well. Starting off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight 78, high temperatures tomorrow at 99, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 76. There is no precipitation that is expected tonight at all, and same thing with tomorrow as well. And for now, it's looking like that there is no severe weather that is expected either. And in terms of excessive rainfall, there is, for now that I'm looking at it, no excessive rainfall that's expected either. Let's go on now and talk about Raleigh. Low temperatures tonight 78, high temperatures tomorrow at 97, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 77. No precipitation is expected tonight, but a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow and tomorrow night as well. In terms of severe weather, you do have a minor risk of some severe weather. Same thing like South Carolina does pretty much. So if you were there earlier, you know what I'm talking about. But just in case if you weren't, a low risk for some severe weather by the time you get to tomorrow during that afternoon time frame, most likely afternoon, evening, and you will have some isolated damaging winds. Isolated damaging winds of up to 60 miles per hour is the primary concern. But past that, that's pretty much it there. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, you do have a chance for some minor flooding on Monday, tomorrow as well. So watch for that if you have to go out driving. You know, obviously you have those flooded roadways, flooded creeks, flooded streams, all that kind of stuff. And then Philadelphia, we do have low temperatures tonight 70, high temperatures tomorrow at 84, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 63. No precipitation is expected tonight or tomorrow. And then in terms of severe weather, no severe weather is expected either. And then the final location being Duncan, Oklahoma, with low temperatures tonight 75, high temperatures tomorrow at 98, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 76. No precipitation is expected tonight or tomorrow. And in terms of severe weather, there is no severe weather that is expected. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, there is no excessive rainfall that is expected. And so that's it in terms of those 4 locations. What's going on throughout the entire U.S. right now? Dangerous, long-lasting heat is expected across parts of the central U.S. and the southeast U.S. Showers and thunderstorms, some severe, may produce heavy rainfall and localized areas of flash flooding across parts of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys into the Appalachians. Severe thunderstorms are possible across parts of the northern Great Plains. Fire weather conditions are possible in the Great Basin. And so, one thing that I did not show the weather map or the heat map, but it is included that pretty much the entire state of South Carolina is inside of a heat advisory now. And that's for those feel like temperatures for tomorrow as well. I mean, feel like temperatures tomorrow, you know, obviously we'll talk about that tomorrow morning, but the heat index values for tomorrow is going to get to that 112, 113 degree range from what we've been seeing And we pretty much have been seeing that all through the weekend and then even into early last week as well. So everyone, pretty much the entire state, will have around 105 degrees higher than that pretty much by the time we get through tomorrow, though. So that's why everyone decided a heat advisory for tomorrow. And we'll talk more about that, like I said, tomorrow morning. But make sure, again, just want to say it just because I can't say it enough, that if you are that make sure that you are drinking water when you go outside, not just going out there thinking that everything's fine. I don't need to drink no water, anything like that. Um, Obviously, you have to, because obviously heat exhaustion is a real thing. Heat stroke is a real thing, and some people really do underestimate it, and that's when those situations can occur. So please make sure that you are drinking plenty of water. Put some ice in it if you have to. Get some out the refrigerator if you have to. Just make sure that it is nice and cold for you if you are working outside. But tomorrow's Monday, and, obviously a lot of people go to work inside, but obviously some people might still do some stuff outside. But that's it for the forecast tonight. If you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go in and do so. Hit the share button again. 540 subscribers now. Still trying to get to 600. The top fans for tonight was Mr. Chris at 1, my aunt Shirley at 2, and then my cousin Cheryl at 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for y'all's contributions for tonight. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Monday morning forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Sunday.